To celebrate the return of football, Tifo is offering 30-day free trials to The Athletic, the home of the world's best football writing. The paths of the 7 Americans who were involved in the penultimate week of the Bundesliga season are varied. 3, John Brooks, Timothy Chandler and Alfredo Morales, were born and raised in Germany. The other 4, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Giovanni Reyna and Josh Sargent, were primarily brought up in the US and did most of their development in the American youth system. Adams, who moved from the New York Red Bulls to RB Leipzig in January 2019, was the only member of that group who played in MLS. The other 3 began their professional careers in Germany. Now, the trend of American players spending formative years in Germany goes back decades to the likes of Eric Wynalda, Claudio Reyna and Landon Donovan, just to name a few. The German path is now more common though, particularly for young prospects who are joining academies there. 6 members of the US's 2019 Under-20 World Cup team, including Wolfsburg winger Ulysses Yanez, now a senior international, were contracted to German clubs during the tournament. And 4 more German-based players were called up to the first US team of the 2021 Under-20 cycle last September. A confluence of factors both on and off the field have made Germany a popular destination for top young Americans, and the first and most pragmatic of those is the immigration laws. England, given its popular league and shared language with the US, would probably be a more natural landing spot for Americans, if not for its strict work permit requirements. But Germany has more lax immigration restrictions for athletes than many other European nations. In fact, no work permit is required for an athlete to gain residency. They only need to be 16 years old, earn a living wage, and be confirmed as a competent athlete by their sport's German governing body. It also helps that German clubs haven't paid fees for most of their American players. Pulisic signed with Dortmund for free in January 2015. 4 years later, they sold him for $73 million. Dortmund could turn that trick again with Reyna, who left New York City FC without signing a pro deal and joined for no fee in October 2018. McKennie's journey from the FC Dallas Academy to Schalke was the same, though Dallas did manage to get a $1.25 million transfer fee out of Bayern for Chris Richards, who they signed to a pro deal less than a year before selling him. Now, part of the reason American teams haven't received any money for players who leave their academies for Germany or other countries is the fact that MLS and US soccer have not allowed them to pursue training compensation or solidarity payments. US soccer claimed it became neutral on the topic in 2015, and MLS changed its stance on that last April when it announced it would comply with FIFA's system and allow its teams to go after training compensation and solidarity payments. That's been a big problem for MLS teams, but it's also one of the reasons why American players are so attractive, because basically they're free, said Philadelphia Union's sporting director Ernst Tanner. There is an academy payment in place now, but I don't know if there have been any cases where German clubs have had to pay the training fees. The friendly immigration laws and the lack of transfer fees make it easier for Americans to get into Germany, but it's not what allows them to make a career in the Bundesliga. And while talent is, of course, the most important factor for any player looking to establish himself in the German top flight, Americans are helped by their tendency to have a relatively simple time adapting to life on and off the field. Away from the pitch, players can get by using English without too much issue while they learn to speak German. They also have a typically easy time dealing with German coaches who often share similar sensibilities with their American counterparts. When it comes to Germany, football is very structured, said former US international turned agent Corey Gibbs. Every player knows where they need to be, the coach has a specific game plan, and they follow that game plan. And I think Americans follow that type of mentality as well. The prevailing style in Germany, a fast-paced, transition-heavy game that suits athletic players, also works well for young Americans. Whenever we talk about players, says former US and Hanover defender Steve Cherundolo, we break it up into 4 general areas: mentality, physicality, the technical side, and the tactical side. Most American players are very well developed in 3 of those areas: physical stature, technical ability, and the mentality side of the game. The tactical side, well, that's where the Europeans are maybe a little further along. But a lot of German clubs believe they can teach the player the tactical side of the game, which is why they love Americans and why they're usually always fit, because most are able to learn the necessary tactical pieces. The recent emergence of young Americans in the Bundesliga, beginning with Pulisic and continuing with McKennie and Adams, has created a positive feedback loop on both sides of the Atlantic, The old European biases against American players that Cherundolo and others had to fight against at the start of their careers have largely receded. Meanwhile, in the US, prospects are seeing more and more young players are having an easier time getting high-level opportunities in Germany than in the other Big Five leagues. Bring it all together, and it's easy to imagine a steady stream of future American prospects continuing to head for the Bundesliga. With football finally back, Tifo is delighted to be able to offer 30-day free trials to The Athletic. We have journalists dedicated to every Premier League club, bringing you the definitive stories on your team, not just the big teams. And that's not to mention hundreds of journalists dedicated to 10 other sports. So check it out for free by visiting theathletic.com/Tifo Football. And thanks for watching today's video.